Hey everyone, how are you doing today? Super short video, but there's a huge controversy out there with Padme and how she died. Now we all know that she died due to a broken heart. She lost the will to live, essentially, which has happened in life. In fact, it sadly happened with Carrie Fisher's mother after Carrie Fisher passed away. Now in the book, Star Wars Archives by Paul Duncan, 1999 to 2005, there is an excerpt that George and Paul talk about regarding Padme losing the will to live. Paul says it's implied that she lost heart, and this is after, George discusses how Padme essentially started the very, very early parts of the rebellion. In some of the deleted scenes of Revenge of the Sith, you actually get to see a glimpse of this. Now Paul says it's implied that she lost heart, and George says yes, her soul has been crushed. The thing that breaks Padme's heart in the end is that Anakin says to her, "Come and join me, I have all the power now. I can rule the universe and you can do it with me." So the idea of saving her life has become a minor issue, and that's when she says, "Wait a minute, that is not what I want, and you're not the guy I fell in love with." Now there have been many different documentaries and interviews and such with George Lucas going over Anakin's character, but I haven't seen him talk about Padme losing the will to live like this, and that's why I felt this excerpt was so important. Now, one thing he also explains in some of the deleted scenes and bonus DVDs for Revenge of the Sith, I think it was Revenge of the Sith, it was essentially that Anakin becomes extremely selfish. So he wants to save Padme, he's doing all of this in the name of love, but what he fails to realize is that he's becoming controlling. So that he now knows, he superimposes his belief of what is best for this person or that person, case in point Padme, and then goes around the galaxy and says, "I did all of this for you to protect you." Now this of course is psychotic, it's very egotistical, and it's very manipulative. And this is what Anakin does because he gets so hell-bent, and I believe this comes from all the trauma that he faced as a child. Not to go, into psychology, but he essentially tried to save his mother from dying. That was his biggest goal that he tried to accomplish. He failed. She died in his arms, and a horrible death at that. So to overcome this, when he was hit with the dream and vision that Padme is going to die in childbirth, and mind you, his most powerful power was the ability to see into the future. His visions were something that completely dissipated when he lost to Obi-Wan on Mustafar. This was a power that never came back to him again. And that's because of his loss of midichlorians and of course, him becoming more machine than man. But if you didn't know, that was a power of his that was extremely developed. And it was just an innate power. It was an organic power that he just had within himself. So Padme losing the will to live was essentially because she saw that Anakin, while he did all these things in the name of love, just wasn't the same person anymore, which is self-explanatory. I mean, we all figured that out for the most part. But Anakin, from his point of view, he felt that things were fine. He felt he was doing everything that he could to save Padme, and he got so hell-bent on saving her, he forgot what he was becoming in pursuit of saving her, which was a murderer, a tyrant, a monster. So in the end, she felt that the man that she loved wasn't really all there anymore. It was more destroyed and corrupted by this thing that was using her as a sort of scapegoat or reason to turn to the dark side and develop his powers. And so in the end, she dies and she says to Obi-Wan, her last words, "There's still good in him." So even through all of the things that he had done, there was still good in him, there was still an ability for him to turn back the light, and this, in the end, is what Luke saw as well, which is what brought Anakin out from Vader, and in turn saved the galaxy. Hope you enjoyed this little excerpt from George and Paul Duncan. Go check out that book if you haven't already. It's really an amazing read. I'm finding so many interesting tidbits in there, and it's mind-blowing. It's really fun. After this, I'm going to go on to the episode 4, 5, and 6 one, because he has the same size of a book, but for episode 4, 5, and 6. Thanks for checking this episode out. I will catch you in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you, always.